Okay, I'm back and I think I have a plan. So this guy, which is the upright that goes like this, is going to get mounted into that plate like such. I've marked out the end, so the 2 screw holes would be down the center line and 1/4 and 3/4 across the bar. Bar is 3/4 inch, so that puts the center spacing between the 2 holes at about 0.5625. Drill and tap this for some number 440 screws. These are little button heads with a washer and a lock washer, which means I need to pull this plate off and drill 2 holes 0.28125 from the center line of this plate. So when I drilled these 2 holes, they're symmetrical about the center line, 31 millimeters apart. So I want these 2 holes also symmetrical about the center line, and oh god, what's the distance? Brain fart. 0.095 back from this front edge, and then that 0.625 apart, centered around the center line of this plate. So I'm going to take this off, drill him, and then set this guy up, drill him, tap him, and hopefully not break a tap in the process. Unfortunately, the screws that hold on the stepper motor look almost identical to the 440 screws, but I'm pretty darn sure these guys are metric. So hopefully I have those separated enough that I won't mix the 2 up when I go to put it back together. I'm going to go drill some holes. I'll be back when that's done. Okay, had some bad math in the last little clip. So these 2 holes are actually 0.375 apart, not whatever I said. So 0.1875 off the center line of this part on either side. And I drilled them with a number 34 drill, so they're a slip fit on these bolts. They're actually a little tighter than a clearance hole, just so they don't shimmy around too much. It could have been a little tighter, but this gives me a little bit of slop in case I don't drill the other part dead on. And if I need to, I can always open them up more later. So with that, this piece in theory is done. So I can put that back on here. Okay, so what's next? Where'd it go? There it is. So next up I gotta drill these 2 end holes so that this sits in here just like so. So gonna go drill some holes and back in a bit. Well, I was getting ready to get set up to drill this part, and I realized I have a problem. So here's my mill vise, and if I put this in as far down as I can get it, crank it tight, you will notice I run into my collet. There is absolutely no way for me to get drills in there. So alternate plan is I can just barely clamp it on the edge here, which that does clear the collet, but the real question is, can I get a drill bit in there? I definitely could center drill it this way if I got it all squared up. But a number 440 takes a number 43 drill. So let me see what I got for 43s. So this drill, all the way up to the flutes, is still longer than the top of that. So I'm going to have to tear down my setup and reset up the vise spaced off of the bed with a different riser block. If I just take my vise and mount it straight to the saddle here, it's way too short. My quill can't go down far enough to even hit this. So I'm going to have to get some 1, 2, 3 blocks, get that lined up. Long story short, it's going to be a little bit before I get back to this. Well, here we have plan B. Not the most rigid setup in the world, but it clears, I should be able to drill my holes back when that's done. Okay, so I got my 2 holes drilled 0.375 apart along the center line of this piece, tapped them 440, and now I'm going to quickly try and assemble all this. And see if it fits. Now I'm going to have to take this back out in order to put the next part of the mounts in, so I'm not going to put the bottom screws in because they're a real pain. But in theory, it should go in just like that. So I'm flush on the bottom, I'm flush on the top. There's no binding on, no rubbing against either the slides, either the brackets, or the belt assembly. So yeah, that worked. Oh, that's going to be nice. So what's next? Next I need to mount this guy somewhere just like that. I need to check the focus on this again once I make the brackets. I seem to remember I needed to go down farther, so I'm going to make it flush with the bottom of this plate, so if I need to put a light ring on it, I can. Which leaves me with a clamp about here, and a clamp here that also spans over this adjuster, so that I can lock it here and here, adjust this guy, and then have a little set screw or something that just comes in and keeps this from rattling around and changing while it's moving. So I need some aluminum stuff to do that. So this guy is 0.472. I don't think I got 0.4 letters. 0.4. Okay, a Z drill is only 0.413, and a 1364 is 0.844, and a 1532 is 0.46. So this is like right in the middle of all my drills. It's exactly 12 millimeters. So that brings up an interesting option. I might have a 12 millimeter reamer in my collection of random stuff. But I need to go find some aluminum stock and start to make a plan for that. Okay, I think I found some little scraps I can use to make these mounting blocks. First thing I need to know is where in this dimension I want to mount the camera. And I think I want to mount it straight in line with the 2 shafts just to make some of the setup easier. So it doesn't have to be perfect because I can calibrate it out in software, but get it relatively close. And with my setup, about 5.06. It's a little tiny bit over a ½ inch. I dug through my pile of random aluminum bits and found these guys that I salvaged off of something. Actually, this one I made. I made this for something, but I made it wrong, so I had to remake it. But as it turns out, that hole is just about dead on where I want to be. So I can reuse that. And I want this down. So this will be, since this is thicker, I'll make this the upper mount up here. Plan is to have a screw come in from the back into the bottom to hold the block to this block, or to this bar. Drill and either use set screws or split the block and put a clamping bolt on top so it squeezes the tube, so I don't have to worry about denting it and breaking something internally. This adjuster nut, I'm just going to put a set screw in here. I could try and split it this way as well, but that's getting to be kind of ridiculous and painful. So I'll just make this hole on this side slightly bigger so it's a slip fit on this, relatively close to this, slit it, and then go from there. And then the bottom block, sort of same idea. I'll just take this stock here, lop it off about there, lop it off about here, set it up, drill the same hole, the same distance up, so like right about there. Slit it, put a mounting bolt through it, or set screws. I haven't fully decided which way I'm going to go yet, but that will be for another day. I'm out of time for tonight. But this worked out really well. I'm kind of happy about that. Again, I'm not putting the screws in because they're kind of a pain in the butt. But they should go straight back in. Everything on the bottom lined up as expected. So getting closer. Hopefully, probably take me a couple more work nights to get the rest of the camera clamps done, but hopefully that will be done in the short term here, and then I can move on to something hopefully a little more exciting. Later.